Welcome to Crossing in the Woods, to another CH2 replay cast. This time we're going to have a 2v2, of course, on Crossing in the Woods, sent in by Down PT, playing as the OKW. Over here in the North spawn, we're also going to have Blackhawk, being his ally, playing as Wehrmacht, already choosing German Mechanized Doctrine. We'll talk more about that later. On the enemy side, we have Rapidler, playing as British, and also Sergeant, playing as British. So we have double British against both Axis factions. This is going to be interesting as Crossing in the Woods is a very smallish map for a 2v2, so the British are generally very hard to dislodge from their defensive positions, because a mortar from about in this position can cover up to about here on the map, so it is a very British favored 2v2 sometimes. So we'll see how they deal with it. Down PT going immediately for a cube wagon. I don't completely agree with this, because again the map is kind of small, so the backcapping potential of the cube wagon is not the best, but it is a very open map where the cube wagon can accelerate fairly easily and just do a nice bit of harassment if you can micro it correctly. So that's a fine investment in the early game. We also have a sniper first sniper from Blackhawk, who basically only built the tier and then went for Grenadiers after the sniper. So that is very interesting, as the sniper is very good against the British. We'll see how you can employ it. So we have a nice flank over here from the Storm Pioneers. They're going to be able to probably do some damage, but unfortunately Sergeant over here pretty much immediately notices what is going on and focus fires his infantry sections at the Storm Pioneers. The Storm Pioneers managed to ruin one of the infantry sections, but at the cost of 2 of their own models, and they are forced to retreat. Now there's 3 Focus Pioneers with very low HP against these infantry sections, even at the kind of cover disadvantage that he was. This would be an easy fight for the infantry sections, especially now that they take heavy cover and receive a rate of fire bonus. So the Focus Pioneers are forced to retreat, but there is a Kuba wagon coming in to assist with another Focus Pioneer squad. Meanwhile, on the left side, the sniper is going to work. It's already got 4 kills, chasing away one of the squads, 3 losses on that one, and also killing one of the MG gunners. MG, though, manages to suppress the Grenadiers by Blackhawk, who has also lost his Pioneers, so that's a really bad loss this early into the game. Any losses are, of course, terrible. But at least on the right side, Down PT has managed to... Oh, God. Panzer is just talking to me. In case you say... Oh my fucking god. In case you cannot see, over here there's just Panzer spamming messages at me. What a piece of shit. On the right side, to more pressing concerns, Down PT has managed to push back the British and pretty much secured the right side of the map for the Axis, as well as on the left side, the sniper has prevailed in the end with 8 kills, almost bed 1, and the machine gun has been forced to retreat, as well as the infantry sections. He doesn't even have the manpower to reinforce all of his squads because he's getting his own sniper, which is of course an excellent choice, as if he can manage to counter snipe the sniper of Blackhawk, he will pretty much be able to regain the advantage on the left side, which he has lost. So one thing that Blackhawk really needs to do as fast as possible is decap this fuel point. You do not want to allow the British to have a fuel point for pretty much free, even though you have pushed them back. So 3 infantry sections over here not being healed up by the medic squad for some reason. They're gonna jump into the house though. A flame grenade perhaps from the Focus Rangers would be good, but he has not upgraded any of his tech structures, so he cannot really throw that anti-building tool at the enemy. So that would be pretty much impenetrable. An impenetrable defense for the Germans. They will not be able to secure the house at all. Unfortunately for the British, there is a Kuba wagon which can pretty much harass the British infantry and keep them busy for a little while reinforcements such as this MG34 come up. Now on the left side we have the sniper. He's probably just waiting for the other sniper to reveal itself and fire, but he's gonna run out into the open and likely be spotted, so he might actually eat... No, the sniper fires at the infantry sections, doing a little bit of losses, but the sniper from the British is still in negative cover, and pretty much can be spotted by the German sniper. Not sure what the German sniper is up to. They both have hold fire on, of course, but they're both visible at this point, so they really need to be careful about what to do. There is the bush over here, rather the tree and the bush, that pretty much serve as a sight blocker for the British sniper, but that does not only protect it from the German sniper, it also protects the German sniper from him. So the machine gun has been forced to retreat, and one of the infantry sections was wiped out. Two of the infantry sections were actually wiped out in this engagement. So the engagement is going definitely in favor of the Germans, for now at least. The British sniper is going to go down right now from the counter snipe. It wasn't positioned correctly at all, and so Blackhawk can pretty much run amok in the left side of the map. He's also lost a lot though. He's lost his pioneers again. He had built a bunker over here, a reinforcement bunker, but he's lost another of his grenadier squads, so pretty big losses for Blackhawk as well, but definitely higher losses for Sergeant, who has lost nades. I don't agree with Sergeant over here. Sergeant going for grenades. 4 infantry squads. Both, well, of course, he has upgraded the bolster infantry sections. Really sorry about the chatting, but I have to answer him. We have some nice sandbags, actually, by DownPT. Not something I would have thought of doing. I would have probably sent in a squad over here, a squad behind the little tractor over here, and one squad in the building. As well as perhaps DownPT's main mistake right now, or rather only mistake, is not sending anything to the left side to harass and take the cutoff point, because he's pretty much pushed the British player to the base. So he should be looking to other sides of the map to pretty much extend the advantage and protect this these victories throughout the entire map. That would be very nice for him. So the sniper from Blackhawk is up to 15 kills, vet 2 and a half at least. There is an AEC being built by Rapidler, which is definitely a good choice. There's no real counter for it right now at the field, especially for the Wehrmacht, because right now DownPT doesn't really have any Panzerschrecks, surprisingly enough, and he's building a Lux. Now, going for the tier 2 and the Lux is probably a good choice. Of course, in hindsight, with the Fog of War off, I can see that it's a bad choice because of the AEC that's coming. But if I was playing right now and I was in DownPT's position, I would go for a Lux as well, because when the enemy is just so pushed back and they have little resources, they kind of have to be investing more on basic units to push back, so they will have less to invest in kind of anti-tank measures. Of course, there's 4 infantry sections over here by Sergeant who have no counter to this Lux at all, though there is an AEC over here. The AEC actually eating 2 Panzerfausts by the Grenadiers, so that's a very nice fight by Blackhawk, and also a very reckless maneuver by Rapidler. They should have been playing much more defensively with that. And the Lux is just chasing all of the infantry to the base. Not really sure how aware he is of this AC, but if he is aware, then he saw that it is, well, of course, engine damaged. And he's going to destroy the forward assembly. That's a really nice play, because the forward assembly being very expensive, especially with the retreat point upgraded, which it isn't, but still, it is a very expensive building. That's also very easy to destroy, so it is very nice that he can make a move like that. Of course, he will not finish it because of the AC. I would have probably swept back around over this little bush over here, because as you can see, it is a line-of-sight blocker. So I would have hidden my Lux up to about here and finished it off. It would have been pretty much safe from the AC. But we have a second AC from Rapidler. Now, that is very interesting, actually, and probably a good choice, considering the Axis still pretty much insist on not getting any counters to it. We have a nice push, actually, by the German infantry with Panzerschrecks. They're going to finish off the forward assembly building, so that's good. We finally have an AT gun out of Sergeant. Again, very delayed because of all the infantry squads he got, and also the forward assembly being very manpower intensive. But other than that, the AT gun, only one, is not going to be able to stop the Lux's rampage throughout the entirety of the right side of the map, because, well, the Lux can eat one shot and then just go repair and come from another angle thanks to his speed. So Yeah, pretty much that's why one AT gun is not enough to counter looks. We do have two AECs though, and these will definitely counter the looks if they encounter it. But right now, it looks like the AECs are being used mostly on the left side of the map. And one of them is idle in the center. So the AT gun is starting to peck away at the Lukes. The Lukes is going to attempt to escape, and it's going to eat one last shot at maximum range. That's a bit of a miss micro out of Dom PT. You should have been paying much more attention at his looks. He's also lost, it looks like, 2 Grenadier squads in this engagement somehow. Don't really see the corpses, but looks like they're about here. There's a few corpses here, so I'm guessing that's where most of the death happened. So yeah, very bad engagement for Dom PT, who has lost about 50% of his army, actually, at this point, considering the Lukes and the Volksgrenadiers were really the backbone. He's also got 2 MG34s with Luftwaffe ground forces, of course. Always a very nice tree to have. Pretty much just the standard for the OKW with the Fallschirmjägers. Just having that elite infantry is always really useful, and also the MG34 is pretty much, well, mandatory for the OKW, really. So if Fallschirmjäger is being spawned out of the shack, perhaps he could have been bold enough to spawn the Fallschirmjägers off this house and use that as cover. Perhaps that would have been a choice. On the left side, it looks like the AECs are starting to have their effect, but we have Stug actually on the field by Blackhawk. Now, I don't completely agree with the Stug. In my opinion, a Panzer IV would have been a much better choice against the AECs. Of course, it would have been more expensive, but considering the resources, he could have been able to bring it up to about... could have brought it onto the field about now. Looks like the reinforcement bunker was destroyed by the AECs, which is pretty obvious. The AECs being pretty good against buildings. One of the AECs goes down. It was actually very much engine damage, so perhaps ate a Panzerfaust out of the Grenadiers. Again, over here, Rapidler not really being very cautious with his units. Oh, that's really bad. Engineer squad going down for the British on the right side of the map. Very much a bad assault from the front, and a mine looks like actually killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry section members. So that was a really good mine out of Dom PT. Fortunate that I didn't get to see it live, but that was definitely a good mine placement, especially when you push up right upside the base of someone. You definitely want to be mining the areas just in case they push you back, which of course, being that it is very close to the enemy base, is likely. So the VP situation is of course very much in favor of the Axis, who have had the upper hand the entire game. They've lost only 5 VPs and the enemy is down to 170, so I do definitely see Allied surrender coming soon. So let's start to talk about what they could have done differently or not, because I really don't think that they can turn this back around anytime soon. So Sergeant over here going a bit too hard on the tier 1. He went for all free upgrades of his HQ, 2 of them before even getting tier 2. The bolster infantry and the grenades. And only now, after getting tier 2, getting these weapon upgrades, which are in my opinion the most important of these free. So what I would have done in his place is go for the weapon rack upgrades first, and then... Would you shut up? Man, the British announcer is really annoying sometimes. He really doesn't shut up when he's got like a bunch of abilities to describe. Nice rifle grenade actually by Blackhawk. Gonna destroy the Vickers, which was vetted up. Again, these units are very, very low. Both the Axis players should be a little bit more careful with their units. They've been losing them a lot. The British haven't really been losing... Well, they have lost a lot of units, but not lately. Definitely more Rapidler than Sergeant. Sergeant has at least kept his 4 infantry squads alive, so that's good. He's also going to go for a forward logistics glider. Again, touching on this teching problem that Sergeant has, I'm not really sure why he hasn't simply gone for tier 3. I would have probably gone with a different teching path if I was him. I would have gone for, again, weapon racks first, then tier 2, and getting out an AT gun, or perhaps a Bofors to protect against any kind of light vehicles, and then gone for a tier 3 as soon as possible, and then only then, after getting the tier 3, getting the bolster infantry squads, because I see this more as a late game upgrade than an early game one. You need that 35 fuel for fast teching to something. So another AC going down for Rapidler, who has pretty much lost every one of his vehicles that he built. The 2 AECs going down, both from the Stugs. The Stug, I really don't see it as a counter to the AC, because if the AC can flank it, which it can easily do thanks to its speed, then pretty much the ACs have nothing to fear from the Stug. But it looks like Rapidator was, well, not too keen on using his ACs that way, and he pretty much tried to slug it out with the Stug, which is a terrible, terrible decision. So the AT guns from both players of the British are dealing a little bit of damage to Stug, but they're going to be forced to retreat by the infantry support of the Germans. Nicely pushing up always with the Grenadier support from Black Hawk, so that's really good. Now there's also a Command Panzer being... What is this glider? No. The forward logistics glider is not used that way, okay? Sergeant. Basically, the way you want to be using this is you want to be using it as a forward HQ because it has a retreat point upgrade. So what you want to be doing is place it down in a position where it is kind of hidden from the enemy. In this case, on Crossing in the Woods, it would be about here. And it can also act as a forward retreat point. Also, it can produce commandos out of it, and that's really good because it can produce commandos at 350 manpower. And now, you produce commandos at 350 manpower, and the commandos have the same reinforcement price as infantry sections. So basically, you just always produce commandos after a while because they're just better than infantry sections straight up, and they also have pretty much similar costs. Infantry sections are 280 regular manpower, and the commandos are 350 out of the glider. Nice actually wipe out of the infantry over here, but we have a Panzer IV trying to flank around the huge infantry blob of the British. We have the AT gun gonna be pretty much peppering the Panzer IV from behind, and also the sniper looks like he attempted to fire at the Panzer IV but was killed by a stray round, so that's really nice for the Germans. We killed the second sniper out of Rapidator. He just cannot keep his units alive, man. This is really bad for him. And the Panzer IV is really close to going down. I would definitely retreat as soon as possible and use a smoke bomb drop from German mechanized doctrine. Also, nicely, Down PT sees the situation and decides to, well, change directions for his infantry. He lost his Lukes somehow, not really sure when. About over here, looks like. Oh, right, with the ET gun. Right, I forgot. So, as you can see, the air landing officer is a pretty good infantry unit, but it's not worth 540 manpower for the call down if you are going to lose the glider. The glider is really a huge part of that manpower price, so you want to be keeping it alive and using it, or rather, yeah, just using it as much as possible. Sniper going down from Black Hawk. It had about 25 kills and vet free, so that's a really nice pickup for the British. Black Hawk is down to no infantry. He's lost all of it in this engagement from the British horde, because he tried to overstay his welcome with these bunkers. He should have definitely just retreated. That's one mistake that a lot of players make when they have a forward just... and again, he will not shut up. When you have some kind of forward reinforcement point, you will just sometimes overstay on it, thinking that, oh, I'm just going to reinforce under combat and I'll be fine. I can hold the positions, but sometimes you cannot, and you have to retreat because the enemy just has a superior force. Nice bundle grenade, gonna be doing heavy damage to the British. 2 bundle grenades, gonna wipe out one of the infantry sections, and the air landing officer will just retreat with a sliver of HP over here. Sean Connery gonna be able to run away to his own lines. So that's pretty nice that he could keep that air landing officer alive, but again, killing that veteran infantry section is a really nice pickup for the British, rather the Germans. We have a mechanized Grenadier group, it looks like, from Black Hawk, but he will stand in front of an ET gun, which is okay. He'll stand in front of the ET gun even though you could just be running away. We have a second for logistics. What? I didn't even know this was possible. There's 2 air landing officers. I thought you could only have 1. I'm guessing you can only have 1 glider, but then if you lose the glider, you can call off another air landing officer. That's actually kind of funny. I would have never even thought about this. It's a bad choice in my opinion. Bad usage of 540 manpower when you could have just gone for. Okay, I see what he's doing. He's going for the crocodile, but no, you really need to tech, especially as the British. You may be tempted to skip teching and going for the crocodile. But no, it is very important that you keep teching and you go for a Comet or a Cromwell, especially on a map like this. because on a map like this that is very open, very nice for flanking maneuvers and for fast tanks in general, the Comet and the Cromwell are just excellent. So that is definitely one big mistake that Sargent made. Well, another big mistake that Sargent made about his teching choices, which are definitely very bad. Now, the second air landing officer immediately goes down to the Forschmakers, and another infantry squad, vet-free with Brenz, goes down. That is huge, as that was pretty much, well, one of the last huge infantry squads that Sargent had, and that was his strength. He had a lot of very strong infantry on the field. But now he's pretty much gone, and he's reduced to one pretty strong infantry squad with Vet 2 and the Brenz, and then one with one air landing officer that's vetted, but then this other infantry squad without any kind of vet or weapons is just not very useful at all. So, nice sphere placement from Down PT. This has been up for about 5 minutes. He hasn't been able to really use it in any kind of way. I believe he might be going for a King Tiger, which would be a nice choice. But he hasn't really built his mechanized regiment headquarters, so he might not be going for a King Tiger. He might be just waiting to get his manpower back in order, because he went for 3 Fallschirmjägers, and in my opinion this is a mistake. Especially when you don't have a medical point, medical HQ. Because the Fallschirmjägers are really a nice elite infantry unit, but they are very expensive to reinforce. And one Fallschirmjäger is fine enough as an anti-infantry measure, especially when you have MG34s. So you can just build one, and also their upfront cost is very high, 440, because of their ability to spawn from points. And we have another AC. Why do we have another AC? No, this is not a good idea. So the Crocodile is finally on the field. Somehow he actually managed to bring it off the field. I would have never thought he would have been able to do that. But we do have a shitload of mines being placed with PT. This is definitely a good play. And it's going to destroy the engine. Heavy engine damage on the Crocodile. That's really, really bad. Kind of bad RNG, but also just really bad play. Just sending out this Crocodile alone without any support, without any minesweepers, into an enemy that you know places mines. You have eaten about 3 mines from him already. Or only 2 mines maybe, but you've still seen that this guy plants mines. So I have no idea why you don't want to use minesweepers. So a nice push over here by Blackhawk. He's going to be able to pretty much wipe out this AT gun and make it so the blue guy over here, Rapidler, pretty much has no chance of coming back. 2 mechanized grenadier groups being called in by him. That's an interesting choice, but one that's kind of funny. And Raketwerfer pretty much destroying the Church of Crocodile from a safe distance outside of the range of the flamethrower, and the enemy is going to surrender. So, quick recap of this game. Pretty much very heavy early game pressure by the Germans. Nicely gonna pretty much force the British back into the base. And the British taking the wrong response to it. Not really going for the teching at all, even though they were allowed to keep 1 fuel point for a long time. They could have teched up and used their better, well, their very good, maybe not better, but just generally very good late game capabilities. They pretty much left it to the dogs, since Rapidler over here going for a lot of AECs. He did build the tier 3 over here, the company command post, but he didn't really use it for some reason. I really don't see why he wouldn't just go for a Cromwell instead of, well, perhaps 1 or 2 ACs, okay, but then after that you go for a Cromwell. You go for a Comet. Just in general, you try to get out the big units that can just generally turn back the side of the game into your favor that way. He had done a lot of damage thanks to the combined assault of both Rapidler and Sargent over here. They should have done more of this when they massed all their infantry together and pretty much smashed over here Blackhawk. They should have done that, and if they had teched up, and then they would have done that with their teched up tanks, a nice combined assault on one side of the map, they could have definitely chased into the base and pretty much wiped out one of the players. And they would have been able to do a lot more damage with that way. It would have been a lot more effective. Again, there was a little bit of a spark of success over here thanks to this pretty much double team that they had against Blackhawk. But they didn't really take any advantage of it because they didn't really have the teching to take advantage of it. And also they didn't really do it again or before, which is of course a mistake. They should have done that more once they were being pushed off in the early game. Now, the mistakes of the Germans. Definitely Down PT had a bit of problem with unit preservation a little bit. being a little bit reckless sometimes with his infantry squads. But other than that, nice usage of mines. He had a lot of munitions being saved up, partially because of the fact that he didn't really rebuild his Volksgrenadiers. It allowed him to have a lot of munitions. Now, perhaps using some more of his manpower for Volksgrenadiers and then less mines. Less mines in some places. Again, placing down like 3 mines in an area that's like half a screen is perhaps a bit too cramped. If an enemy mine super squad came up here, he would have revealed pretty much all of the mines instantly. So perhaps spreading them out a little bit further, even in the center of the map. Oh, he does have them in the center of the map too. He's got a little like minefield over here, a diagonal minefield. That's very interesting. Again, it's an interesting decision, but it's very vulnerable to minesweepers, a tactic like this. So yeah, perhaps a little less mines, and instead of using all of your manpower for Fallschirmjägers, perhaps saved up 250 munitions for a Fallschirmjäger squad, because the airborne assault pretty much gives you a Fallschirmjäger for 250 munitions, just in case you needed the extra infantry on the field. But definitely keep up with the mines. They're a really good way to just defeat players who aren't really who are kind of thick-headed and don't go for minesweepers like this. So just keep on it with that way. Nice uses of machine guns. Machine guns are kind of important for the OKW once you go for Fallschirmjägers. Of course, this machine gun was a little bit far away from the action throughout the entire game. It was only used over here. But over here is a crucial point, as there is the cutoff over here and the victory point in the center. And the only Raketenwerfer you ever got was at the end to counter the Crocodile. That is, in my opinion, a bit too late. A Raketenwerfer before you upgrade techs is always very nice for the OKW, in my opinion. That's pretty much down PT. Could he have done anything differently? Perhaps with all these resources gone for a tier 4 unit or a battle group headquarters into King Tiger, battle group headquarters would have helped you out, keeping your squads alive and having a little bit less manpower bleed from Fallschirmjägers. Now, the German player over here, Wehrmacht, Blackhawk. Nice play with the Grenadiers in the early game, but then he lost them kind of recklessly. Nice idea with the bunkers, but it didn't really work out too greatly. Perhaps he should have built them over here a little bit more safely behind these bushes, having them in a bit of a safer spot where he can retreat his infantry and just replenish them under cover. That would have been good. He ended up using the Stug well, but I feel like his success with it was more due to Rapidler's mistake than his successes. And then going for replacing the infantry with mechanized grenadier groups, that's kind of weird, but I guess it worked out in the end. One big mistake, in my opinion, that he has made is that he has a lot of manpower that he could have built a LEFH howitzer with. The howitzer is definitely a worthy unit. He could have built it about over here, and it still would have reached pretty much the entire map, because this map is small. So you could have built it about, actually perhaps for the entire map range, you'd have to build it about here, something like that. But so he could have done that and then used it to great effect against the British base when they were retreating, or rather also the British AT guns would have been very vulnerable to the artillery piece. So that's one very big shame for the German player. He played well with sniper. He ended up losing it to the huge infantry blob. But again, very nice play with that. Munitions float was heavy for him, so I really would advise him to plant more mines everywhere. And also perhaps don't go for the mechanized grenadier group, because it gives you the LMG automatically. You could just build grenadiers and get the LMG with the upgrade. But other than that, I don't think there's anything else to touch upon. Thanks to DomPT for sending in the replay. I hope you enjoyed the replay. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you soon.